Have you ever just stopped and wondered why we call our home the blue planet? I mean, when you see it from space, it's just this incredible swirl of deep blues, bright whites, and these rich greens. Today, we're going to peel back those layers and get into the two most basic things about our world: the huge oceans that give it that amazing color and the continents we all live on. All right, let's dive in.
It's amazing. Way back in 1870, the author Jules Verne wrote this, and it has never felt more true. He just got it. He understood that the ocean isn't just some feature on our planet. In so many ways, it is our planet. This quote really sets the stage perfectly for the massive scale of what we're talking about today. And this is the view that proves his point big time. This picture, the famous blue marble, it literally changed how we see ourselves forever. When the first astronauts saw this fragile little ball just hanging there in the blackness of space, they were just floored by that overwhelming living blue. So the name they gave our home, the blue planet, it just made perfect sense. But that blue isn't just a pretty color, It represents something absolutely fundamental about our planet's surface, a truth that controls our climate, our weather, and yeah, even the very air that we breathe. So what's the real story behind all that blue? Let's break it down. Okay, so we'll start with the most basic split on our planet, the balance between land and water. This simple ratio is the absolute key to understanding Earth's climate, all the life on it, and why it looks so unique from way out in space. Just look at this. It's not even close. About 3/4 of our entire planet is covered by water. Think about that for a second. That's a wild proportion. It's not just why we see so much blue. It's pretty much the single biggest thing that defines the physical nature of our world. But here's where it gets really interesting. All that land and water, it's not spread out evenly, not even a little bit. If you look at our planet from the North Pole and then from the South Pole, you see this massive, totally lopsided difference. Can you spot it? Yep, you can see it plain as day. The northern hemisphere is just packed with land, which is why it gets called the land hemisphere. This is all thanks to millions of years of continental drift, this kind of slow, epic dance of tectonic plates. And it makes our planet fundamentally lopsided, leaving the southern hemisphere as this vast, water-dominated world. So let's dive into that huge blue area that takes up so much of our planet. We talk all the time about different oceans, but as we're about to see, that's not really the whole story. We give them 5 names: the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, and Arctic. But the most important thing to get here is that these are really just labels for one single, massive, connected body of water, the world ocean. You've got these global currents that act like giant rivers, connecting every single part of this system, moving heat and nutrients all around the globe. And this is just so cool. It shows our deep, ancient connection to the sea. The motto of the Indian Navy is an old prayer to Varuna, the Vedic god of the oceans. It just goes to show you that for thousands of years, we've looked at the sea with this mix of respect, awe, and a real understanding of its power. And for good reason. Because under those waves, the ocean is anything but empty space. It is absolutely bursting with life, from the tiniest microscopic organisms to the most majestic creatures you can imagine. You have the bright, sunlit surfaces where light just dances on the water and life is everywhere. All the way down to the vibrant city-lake coral reefs and even into the mysterious, crushing darkness of the deepest trenches. Every single part of the ocean, every layer, is home to its own incredible and diverse forms of life. Now, as vital and diverse as life is in the ocean, the land masses that stick out of it are where most of human history has happened. So now, let's turn our attention to the continents. Okay, this sounds like a pop quiz question from elementary school, right? How many continents are there? But believe it or not, the answer is actually up for debate. It really depends on who you ask and where they grew up. So, get this. The number of continents isn't some strict geological fact. It's more of a cultural agreement. As you can see, if you combine land masses like Europe and Asia into Eurasia, or smush the Americas into one, the count changes a lot. It's this really fascinating place where geography and human history overlap. So in practice, especially in English-speaking countries, we usually stick with the 7-continent model, but it just shows you how cultural it is. For example, you know the 5 Olympic rings? They actually represent a 5-continent model. They combine the Americas and leave out uninhabited Antarctica. It just shows how different ways of seeing the world can change even a simple count. So we've got our oceans and we've got our continents. But they aren't two separate things working on their own.
The oceans have this profound, life-giving effect on every single inch of land. And it's so important to understand why they are, truly, the lifeblood of our planet. The oceans are basically the engine of our planet. They act like a giant solar-powered battery, soaking up the sun's heat and then spreading it around the globe with those huge currents, which keeps our climate in balance. And this is the big one. Tiny marine plants called phytoplankton produce more than half of the oxygen we breathe. They are quite literally the lungs of our world. And that brings us to our final, and maybe the most important section here. Considering everything the oceans do for us, what's our responsibility to them? Look, this isn't just some nice abstract idea. The United Nations actually created World Oceans Day to hammer home a crucial point. The health of the ocean is directly tied to our own survival, and it doesn't matter how far away from the coast you live. But here's the harsh reality. Every single year, we dump several million tons of plastic straight into the oceans. It's an almost unimaginable amount, and it's choking the very same marine life we just saw in those beautiful images, from the smallest fish to the biggest whales. So I'll leave you with this thought. The oceans give us the oxygen for every...
Thanks for watching. Do support us by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Sushantir Bhavatu.